Hey, how y'all doing today? Brian Cole, welcome to the Set Free Service Center. Give me a second, I take some stuff off here. Another beautiful day out, a little brisk this morning, but nice and sunny out, I should say this afternoon. It's afternoon now. So let's just start off by asking a question. And I know, let me flip this phone around. I know last week we showed you this bike a little bit, but if I were to ask you a question and asked you what defines this bike, what would you tell me? What defines this bike? You might say the paint job defines this bike, right? What if I told you, it's not nighttime out or nothing, but what if I told you this bike has got a lighting system on it? I flick a switch on the back of the seat here and the whole bike lights up all kinds of different colors or whatever color I want it to. Would you say the lighting system defines this bike? Maybe at nighttime you can't see the paint job when this thing's rolling down the road or sitting in the parking lot, and it's a glow with a purple glow all up under it and around it glowing off the engine. You say it was the light that defined this bike. Well, let's go into the service center here and let's talk about that. So let's walk in there. But I want to say that it isn't any of those things that I mentioned. It ain't the paint, it ain't the lights that define that bike. It isn't even the name Yamaha that defines that bike. What defines that bike is the engine. Now, that bike, like I said before, was a gift from the Lord. Many people stepped up and bought that motorcycle for the ministry, as well as the paint job was a gift. But one of the things that I did when I was looking for a motorcycle was I did some research. And let me set this phone down here. People were trying to get me a Harley or even an Indian. They were trying to get me an Indian, and you know what? I had a Harley, and it wasn't the most dependable bike, and it sure cost a whole lot of money to get it fixed when she broke down, and it broke down. And so I did research, and I found out that this Yamaha Royal Star with the 1300 in it was a dependable machine. And it went for a lot of miles, and there was a lot of really good reviews on it, and it was a dependable engine. It was still carbureted and not fuel injected because they've never really had problems with the carburetor. So it was a dependable bike, and that's why I bought it. I bought it because it was defined by the creator that made it, and he made it good. So I want to talk a little bit about being defined today because, you know, we as human beings, we tend to define people by our senses as well as our hearts, which are deceitful above all things, right? But we define people by what we see, maybe even what we smell. I know back in school there was this kid that was one of my friends, and his name was Kevin. I'm not going to say his last name. I don't want to embarrass him. I haven't seen him since he was a kid, but man, he smelled. You ever had one of those kids in school that just smelled all the time? He smelled like urine and dog feces and everything else. And you know, I defined him by that smell. I defined his family by that smell. I didn't take into consideration the atmosphere he came from, what the problems in the house were, why he smelled. All I know is he smelled, and I allowed that to define him. And we find ourselves doing that all the time. Even myself being defined by people most of my life or judging people, I still do the same thing, man. I remember one time when I was a youth pastor in Stanley, and it was a really hot day out in the middle of summer, and I rolled up into a gas station, and here stands this skinny little punk kid, right? Tattoos all over, no shirt, bagging pants. And as I pull up right away, my mind goes to, what a scumbag, right? Yet, just a few years earlier than that, I was the same guy. And I caught myself. And I says, no, man, I'm not going to think that. And I got out the car. He was sitting there on the phone. And I got up on him, and I waited till he got done. And he looked at me, and I said, hey, man, I'm going to the store. You need anything? He goes, no, man, I'm straight. So I went into the store. All I know is when I went back by him, I'm like, you have a good day, brother. And sorry, my kid's in here. You got to go, buddy. And when I got in my car and I left, number one, I was like, man, here I am. I'm out there talking about judging people, and I was the same situation before where I was being judged because I was looking kind of like that, and here I am doing it. And then my second thought was, you know what? I'm probably the only guy that came up into that gas station and saw a dude that day that gave him some respect and at least said hello to him. You know, in my past, when I was young, y'all heard some of my story already. When I was about 10 years old is when everything started going down and came to a head. And between my father and the teachers at the school and the school children and even people in the church that my mom was forcing us to go to, all I ever heard was, man, you're a loser, you're nobody, you're nothing, and you're never going to amount to anything. How many of you are going through that right now where I've been through that in your life and you've allowed that to define you? Because I tell you what, I heard that so much from my own father and everybody around me that I ended up allowing that garbage to define the next 33 years of my life. And I became that loser. I became that nothing. I became that nobody. But I'm here to tell you today that ain't got to be like that. So what is it today that defines you? What are you allowing in your life right now that's defining you? Maybe it was something somebody said to you over and over, like myself. Maybe it was how you were raised. Maybe it's even something that happened to you that you didn't have any control over. Maybe it was bullying in your life. Maybe it was child molestation. Maybe somebody molested you in the household when you were a kid. Maybe it was a rape. Maybe it was because you committed some crimes and ended up going to prison, or you were a convict, or you were a druggie, or maybe even it's you define your life by your family or by the job you have or by the money that you make. You know, allowing ourselves to be defined leads to unforgiveness, which always leads to bitterness, never betterness. And sometimes the ways that we allow ourselves to be defined can be so hurtful and so brutal in life that it can even lead to suicide. Tell me if I'm wrong. Let me ask you this. See, I bring this up to the kids at the school, and it's a brutal, hard reality. It's a fact. And I'm always an upfront guy, and I'm going to tell you like it is. You know that bullying allows people to commit suicide. Some people allow that bullying to get them to them so bad and have control over their emotions in their life that they commit suicide. And when I ask the kids at school, everybody raise your hand if you don't know that people commit suicide over bullying, and there's never a hand that goes up. And I always tell them, in my opinion, if you bully people, that is premeditated murder. If you know bullying kills people, and you do it, that, in my opinion, is premeditated murder. You know, man, there's a saying out there, right? Sticks and stones might break my bones, but words may never harm me. That's another lie from the enemy, because I know that words have harmed me in my life. Words do harm people, and bullying is premeditated murder. That's all there is to it. When you have no concept in your life of who you are, when you are raised and brought up and taught in school that you are nothing but pond scum, we came from pond scum, we came from apes, and there really is nothing in this world afterwards, then what is the reason for life? What is the purpose in life? Why not let the people in the world and things around us define us when there is no definition? Well, I'm here to tell you today that there is someone who can define you, and that is your Creator. Just like the person that defined that bike, they didn't make that bike with that paint job. That was added later. That bike was defined by the creators who created that motorcycle and made a good engine in it and made that stable and built to last. And the same in your life. Do you want to be able to go on with life without the things that have defined you to continue to define you any longer? To not feel unforgiven, to not feel like you're what you did in your life. You're the one mistake that you made in your life, and now you have to pay for it the rest of your life. You're not what people tell you you are, that you're a loser, you're a nothing, you're a nobody, and you're never going to amount to anything. Well, Jesus Christ is the one. And He is the creator of us, and He is the one who gives us purpose. Let me read some scriptures to you here. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, "Man does not see as God sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." I don't care who, what, when, where, why these people are looking at you and judging you and saying you're this, that, and the other thing. When you got the God who made you, the God who created you, the God that said you were fearfully and wonderfully made, the God that intricately wove you in your mama's womb, when He says that you are certain things, you better believe you are that certain thing. And He doesn't look at our outward appearance. He knows what's in our heart. John 7:24 says, do not judge by appearances, but judge with right judgment. What is right judgment? Well, that's the judgment that comes from knowing someone. God knows us. And before we have the right to judge somebody and base an opinion on somebody and label somebody and put somebody in our own little boxes that we want them in, we need to get to know them and understand their life. Psalm 43:25, as far as east is from the west, so does he remove our transgressions. I don't care what it was that happened to you or what it was that you did when you give your life to Jesus Christ. He forgets and forgives all of the things that you have done in your life or that was done to you in your life. Isaiah 43:25, he blots out our transgressions and will remember your sins no more. We talked a little bit about that last week. Do you think God can forget? Absolutely not. But he chooses to. So when in our humanness we come to God and say, because I did it, and we say, God, how can you forgive me for this, this, and this? When he looks at you and says, I have no clue what you're talking about. I forgot about all that. Amen. Boy, what would we like to have all that forgotten? Society ain't never going to forgive you. The people around you ain't going to never forgive you. The individuals, the jailers and prison guards and the cops and all these other people, some of them ain't never going to give me a chance, and they're always going to see me as a con manipulator. They're always going to see me as an ex-convict. They're always going to see me as manipulating. But God said, no, that ain't you no more. I forgot about all that stuff you did. You're a masterpiece, Brian Cole. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, Brian Cole. And he says the same thing about you once you give your life to him. Hebrews 8:12 says, I will be merciful toward their iniquities and remember their sins no more. Again, you know, the judges and stuff, man, they can't really be merciful towards things that we do because we messed up and there's consequences. But God is a merciful God. And he not only forgives and forgets, man, but he's merciful toward us. Again, there's always consequences to the things that we do, but he's merciful toward those consequences. Amen. Isaiah 43:18 and 19 says he remembers not the former things, nor considers the things of old. But he says, behold, I am doing a new thing. Don't even think on that stuff, man. I'm doing something new in you, Brian Cole. You ain't all that stuff. Forget it. Let it go. Listen to what I got for you. Let's move forward now and not look back. Amen. Psalm 51:10, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit in me. Man, you need a whole new spirit up in there, and that's what happens when you give your life to Christ, man. There's nothing in there right now. Just an old, rugged, stone-cold heart. And when it creates you new, he gives you a new spirit. Amen? Because we can't do this stuff on our own. All the stuff Brian Cole does, all the situations I get into where I want to snap off and get angry and do this and that, see, that spirit helps me, man. It's got to be supernatural because it's not normal. It's not natural for me not to snap off when somebody does stupid to me or my family or my motorcycle or whatever it is. But it's a supernatural power in us through the Holy Spirit, though, allows us to be able to maintain and control those situations. Romans 12:2, here's the key. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed. How? By the renewal of our mind. It's all mind games out here, man. It's all about the mind. It's all that self-talk. Brian Cole self-talks himself into stuff this quick. All through my life, man. And now because of the renewal of my mind, it was transformed through the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm able to think differently. I'm able to act differently. I'm able to stop and my self-talk might kick in, but then the spirit talk starts. And I just give it to God. I'm like, God, take this from me. Show me what to do right now. Lead me because I know what I want to do and I know where it's going to lead and I don't want to go there anymore. Lord, lead me. And he always does. Here's the best one. Here's one I'm going to end on. 2 Corinthians 5:17. When you do give your life to Christ and you understand all this, it says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed. Behold, the new has come. You are a completely new creation in Christ. Everything about you is new. Yeah, there's still some stuff in you. We still struggle with the flesh and stuff, man. But you got that spirit in you. You got that new heart. He rips out that heart of flesh or stone and gives you a heart of flesh. And now you're able to do things differently. You're a completely new creation. The Brian Cole that lives and sustains today is not the Ozzy Connect of the past. I am a completely new creation, and I know people can't see that. All right, but God does, and God knows, and that's the only one that matters. So don't let anyone ever define you and put you into their own little peg hole when the Lord of the universe says He loves you, He created you, you are a masterpiece, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, you are intricately woven in the depths of the earth, man. He knew you before you were even born. He had your whole future set before you, and He will take the things of your past that you messed up and you meant for evil, and He will use it for good and for His glory. Amen. Again, man, if any of you guys ever need somebody to talk to vent to, whatever it is, man, please feel free to message me on this page or call me at 715-491-7461. You can email me at brian.cole98@gmail.com. You can get on my website at www.setusfree.org, and you can get hold of me there. But get hold of me, man. I understand the struggle, and I can't deal with your struggle for you, but I can be there for you to talk to. I can be there as somebody who's been there, done that before, and help you get through it. All I know is I care about you, I love you, but remember, Jesus loves you more. Amen.